Recently, Michael has made a change in his lifestyle. Today, he will share his impressions and experiences of a unique subculture in our city. Urban Living, Michael Cords. Michael Cords, Urban Living.
I would rather sit on a pumpkin alone than to be crowded on a velvet cushion. These are the words of Henry David Thoreau in his sanguine and historical tome, Walden Pond, one of the many quotes in which he espouses his preference for solitude, being alone away from others. Now, is that how most of us feel? We live in a city of thousands, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of people. You wouldn't think so, but if you're anything like me, that's how you were raised. I grew up in Phoenix. When I was born, my parents were living the American dream. They had just bought a brand new home, in the suburbs. This was what everyone wanted. A new home in a new little place. The elementary school had only been open for a few years. The new shopping mall down the road, only open for a couple years. This was it. It was outside of town. In fact, going into town was an actual event. It was, we are going into town. You go in, do your work, your business, at the end of the day, rush home, away from the hustle and bustle, back to the suburbs, alone, quiet, peaceful, the way it should be. And it was nice for a while. After a few years, what happened? Well, the town seemed to always get a little bit closer. And the suburbs, the edge of town, seemed to get a little bit further away as everything grew. After about 15 years, what did my parents do when they decided we're a little bit too close to other people? Sure enough, they bought a new home way, way, way out at the edge of town once again. In fact, this new home now was as far northwest as they could get in the city limits. Their little neighborhood that they bought their house in was bordered by a road. On the other side of the road, nothing but orange groves, as far as the eye could see. We all could breathe a little bit easier. It was quiet once again. When I started getting places of my own, I kept the same mentality. I moved to Reno. The first place I lived in was a brand new apartment building on Vista in Barrington. 15 years ago, does anyone remember what Vista looked like? What was on the east side between Prater and Bering? Yes, nothing, or cows maybe. And this is what it was like. For a little while, as we all know, Reno grew very quickly. When it came time that I was ready to buy a house, I looked across what used to be empty land with nothing but cows, now had the Andrea Golf Course and new homes and the Safeway Shopping Center. I was getting crowded once again. I had to move. So I bought a house way, way, way on the edge of town, as far north in Sparks of Vista as you can go. In fact, just across the road is nothing but Washoe County. Once again, I was out there on my own in the suburbs. I felt peaceful. Then about a year ago, something happened. I was considering transferring at work to our London office. London's a pretty big city. My wife and I started investigating. We figured out what area of the city we wanted to live in. We started looking at flats, not houses, apartment buildings, flats. I found a little neighborhood pub where I thought we could spend our evenings, and it all seemed nice. And suddenly, we started thinking, maybe we can do some urban living. This is different for us, completely different for me. Well, eventually, I didn't take that job. I decided to stay here in Reno. But that spark was in the back of my mind. When I sold my house, I wanted to buy a new place with my new wife. We started looking around. Where should we live? Stay up at the edge of Sparks? Oh, maybe way down south somewhere, far, far out of town. Or the northwest is nice. Get out of there. That little spark was still burning back there. This urban living, something we had never done. Then my wife found a building full of condos. She thought, well, why don't we try renting for a while and try this urban living? So we've done that. It's taken some getting used to. We're living in a condo. It's actually quite nice. We have the penthouse floor. We're at the very top. It's surprisingly larger in square footage than my house was. So we have lots of room. You open the door onto the patio, walk out, and there in front of us is the Truckee River. It's wonderful. You can hear the water flowing. So I've decided I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to embrace urban living. What I do is sometimes in the mornings I'll get up and I'll go running along the river. I'll go down on Saturday mornings, take my laptop, sit at the little bagel shop, do some writing, sit by the window, watch the people walk by. We've found some wonderful restaurants in Midtown. Up until a few months ago, I didn't even know we had something called Midtown. But there is. Great little boutiques and shops and restaurants. It's a lot of fun. Now that we've been doing this for a few months, there's also some differences, shall we say, to what I've been used to living in a house. I'll give you an example. The security guard in our building was speaking to me one day and he said, you know, your floor smells the nicest out of all the other ones in the building. It's kind of a weird comment. What does that mean? Well, I found out it's actually true. Sometimes I'll get off the elevator at different floors just to look around. They're all decorated differently. And the third floor is the cigarette smoke floor. Floor 7 is Italian food. It always smells like garlic and pasta. Floor 9 smells like mothballs. Not sure why. Figure I could get used to any of this, provided none of the floors smells like rotting human corpses. Then that's probably a little worrying. I mentioned this little bagel shop I like to sit in. Sure enough, I sit there, I watch people go by the street, come in and out. Now that I've been here a while, I'm paying attention a little bit more. A lot of these people dress the same. By that I mean they wear running shorts or yoga pants, running shirts, headbands, tennis shoes, this workout gear. But nobody is ever sweaty or tired or looks like they've been working out at all. I've decided this is the uniform of the Midtown hipster. Don't know why, but they dress that way for each other, for their own selves, but it's definitely a uniform. Speaking of uniforms, if you walk around by the river or at Keystone or at Midtown on a Friday night or a Saturday night, you'll notice a different kind of uniform. I'm not sure how to say this. Let's see. Let's just say mini skirts and high heels, not always for the ladies. Like I said, we've been doing this for a few months, getting used to it. And I started thinking, was Thoreau correct in his feelings about solitude being better than being surrounded by others? Well, consider this. Well, at Walden Pond, for the years that he lived there, Thoreau received many visitors. He wasn't always alone. In fact, most every morning, he went to a neighbor to have breakfast. So even this man, who espouses solitude more than most people, still feels this need to be around others. Now, I don't know if urban living is for everyone. I don't even know if it's for me. But I do think everyone should experience it at least once in their lives. So, if any of you decide that you want to become a city dweller, just let me know. I'll scoot over and I'll make a little more room for you on that velvet cushion.
Can we have Michael's time for his speech today?
8:51.
8:51. We're going to give him a little bit of leniency since he's the only one today. So go ahead and take a moment and vote for who you felt gave the best speech today.